She looks successful, she looks polished and all put together. So why was she crying last night before going to bed? It's all the overwhelm. But when you see her walking through the meeting at 9 a.m., looking sharp and all put together, you would never know. The truth is that she is suffering in silence and nobody really knows. This is what perimenopause looks like. Nobody knows that she woke up at 3 a.m. with her heart pounding so hard, staring at the ceiling, and then just tossing and turning. By 6 o'clock, she got out of bed, prepared her slides, sent out 4 emails, and she's also prepared things for what everybody else needs. And it is now time to get dressed and get to work, dragging herself, literally like pulling yourself out of quicksand. She's thinking, oh my God, I look so terrible. People are probably noticing how bad I look right now. And she doesn't feel good at all, but she's plowing through all of it. This sounds like someone you know. This video is for her. I want to talk about something very specific about what happens to women in menopause. There's a burden that they're carrying, and it's about being excellent at your job, and not because you're vain or you have to show off or anything like that, but you can't show any cracks at work. It's just because you've spent decades building credibility in the rooms that were not always designed for her. She always had to work a little bit harder, and the position had to be a little bit better than all the men around her. She knows that. Now she knows how to work the room. She knows what it takes. So she performs every single day. She shows up and she does it over and over again. But this is happening on 3 hours of sleep. That wasn't even good sleep. She does it while managing her hot flashes, which she has learned to suppress and sustainably just move forward with a steady expression on her face. She does all of this with a big mental load of what's going to happen at work, what's happening at home, what's happening to her children, her own personal relationships, and all of this is weighing her down. It's heavy on her shoulders, but when she goes home, the performance ends. And that's when her family members or loved ones get all the exhaustion, the irritability, the sadness, and everything else, all the symptoms that she was holding on to the whole day and could not let it out. Now, the people she loves, her partner must be thinking, well, she's so distant. I don't know what's happening. Her partner receives a person at home who has nothing left. Her children think that they're getting the version of mom that is running on empty. So they can't even ask questions or just hang out with her or go anywhere with her. If she does, it's with a lot of irritation and it doesn't go well with any of the family members. She literally crashes into bed because she's so exhausted and then wakes up at 3 a.m. staring up at the ceiling again. And here's a cycle, rinse and repeat. It just happens every single morning. And she has to do it over and over again. I need you to hear this clearly. This is not sustainable. And it's not something that discipline or willpower or better time management is going to fix. What is happening to the body requires a real response. We have to do something that is genuine. It's not a productivity hack. An intervention at the physiological level is what is needed at this time. So let me explain. In my previous videos, I've introduced the concept of Vata dosha, which in Ayurveda is air and space element. It is responsible for the nervous system energy. And then we've talked about the Pitta fire, which is responsible for the drive, the digestion, your ambition, the intensity that comes along for high achieving women. In this video, I want to introduce one more concept to you, which is called Ojas. And this is the vital energy, the vital reserve energy that you have deep within yourself. It is responsible for the immunity. It is responsible for the hormonal stability. When things are changing in the body, this emotional resilience comes through, and you are able to sustain yourself through this process, this transitionary time. There are many women you hear about that have had no symptoms when they've gone through this perimenopausal transition. So, what was the difference? It's because they had an ojas reserve. And most people don't even understand what that is. So let me explain to you. This is your deep biological energy savings account. Let's talk about performance for a little bit here. Performance means how you have to come across to the world in front of everyone every day. So every time you hold yourself together, when your body is saying, let go, suppose there's a symptom that you're having and you're suppressing it, such as you want to go to the bathroom, but the meeting is going on, the time is going on, the people are there, and you just plow right through it. So it's your willpower that's forcing you to override this signal that your body is giving you. So pushing through these walls, it actually costs this energy savings account, this ojas, not metaphorically, but physiologically. That face that you have to put on in front of the public, that sustained act of emotional regulation under so much pressure. This is one of the most depleting ojas activities there is because you're tapping deep inside and you're doing things that goes against nature, that goes against what your body naturally wants to do. You see, one of the biggest guidance that we can give is we put humans first in Ayurveda. What do the companies do? They want you to perform first. They want you to get to the bottom line. They want you to do all these things. Which is your idea of success? That's okay. You can do things, but your body is changing and shifting. So you have to listen to it because this is what's happening. This ojas is being depleted. This is your energy reserve, and it sits in the core, way down deep inside of your body. When this is being depleted, you're going to feel fatigue, exhaustion, energy going down. You can't even stand in front of somebody and talk to them for a long time because you're getting tired. This is completely unlike you. You were never like this before because things are changing. It requires all three simultaneously: the physical body, the mental sharpness, and also how you're feeling emotionally. This containment of how you show up every day, from the time when you show up at work, or maybe from 3 a.m. in the morning, from the time when you wake up, all the way till you collapse into bed. It's not going to be sustainable. And all of this is happening while your hormones are shifting, your vata dosha, which is air and space, it is dysregulated, so you're not grounded anymore. Your sleep becomes fragmented and you're tossing and turning at night. Your body is working harder than it ever has just to maintain the baseline function. So you're not having to drag yourself and put yourself in front of people only to be even more depleted when you're done with whatever projects or meetings you're doing, simple things that are supposed to be fun with your own children. According to the Ayurvedic terminology, this is when happens when ojas is chronically depleted, and we call it pranavaha srota obstruction, which means that the blockage is happening in the channels of your body where the life force is supposed to come through. The life force is not able to come through because there are obstructions in the way. So, this manifested version of all these symptoms is exactly what's happening when there is a blockage in the obstruction of life force energy. You feel profound fatigue, the sleep that doesn't fix itself, emotions that come up, and a loss of sense of your own self. You don't even know who you are anymore. That's the number one thing women say is that I don't feel like myself right now. Who am I? What can I do? What are the things that will make me feel like I used to be before? And they go to the doctors, they do surgeries, they do all kinds of things to themselves just to feel like themselves again. The energy that's happening in her body that doesn't make her feel like herself anymore because she cannot access it any longer consistently the way she could before. And this is what's happening with all the hormonal shifts. There is a huge inner turmoil happening. So you have to find the tools to balance yourself. So, this is the physiological reality underneath the performance of how you have to show up in front of the world. If you understand this ojas idea, this concept, of reserving your energy. And here's what I want you to really understand is the longer that she goes on performing this way at the level without any intervention, the deeper the depletion of ojas happens. And it doesn't quite regenerate itself so quickly. It's like your savings account in your bank, exactly the way you rebuild your own personal savings account. You don't just go in there and put one large deposit in it and say, that's my savings account. It could be, but over time, steadily, you make contributions and it keeps building and building. So the crying, the collapsing into bed from fatigue is not just your own personal failure. It is a biological debt notice, if you can look at it that way. You're a smart woman, you're a high achiever, you know how to think things through. And the only way out is to start making those deposits. Slow down. Before I go into our weekly protocol, I want to just name one more thing that's kind of uncomfortable here. The advice that high achieving women usually get from doctors is that they're well meaning and you go in there and what do? They prescribe you some kind of medication. But a lot of times women end up experimenting. They'll come back and tell their doctor this is not working. Then maybe they'll try another one. They keep tweaking it. And in all of that, they're just becoming more and more depleted at the same time while feeling more frustrated. But try it. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying that is not the only way to do it. And then you go to a therapist or a coach and they want to give you more lifestyle tips or set boundaries or tell you to practice self care and do less of this and slow down. And I understand why that advice is given. And there's a lot of truth to that also. But it is profoundly disconnected from her actual life. She cannot do less right now. She has a team to lead. She has a mortgage to pay. She has children. She has maybe children in college. She's got aging parents and maybe other circumstances that come with being in that time of life. This career she has worked for about 20 years to build and is not just something that she can just shift out of. But a lot of women, when they get to this place and they get promotion offers, they just decline it because they just can't do it, because they say they want to be left alone and they can't deal with so much chaos. It just depletes them even more. The thing that you've worked all your life for to get to, and now you're here, and now you're saying, I can't do it. You built your career up to this place by consistently showing up when others didn't. That's how you got to being where you are. Telling her to slow down without actually giving her a way to recalibrate the whole physiology is not really good advice, in my opinion, because you've got to understand the problem. You've got to understand the physiology, what is really happening. If we keep taking care of the symptom, but you never take care of the root cause, then what happens? It is an abdication. What she needs is a system that works for her based on the life that she is living. That gives her nervous system genuine recovery in small windows rather than going and taking a sabbatical. It will rebuild Ojas in ways that you feel like that you can understand what's clearly happening inside your body. You will be able to make informed decisions to become the systems thinker you are and that optimized woman with clear information and actionable protocols. She knows how to follow the rules. And if you give her things that she can understand and implement into her daily life, it's a game changer every time. It works. I have seen many women do that and it works. This is what this channel is, and that is what I am here to build with you. So let me give you this week's protocol. I have designed this specifically for the woman who can take this as a starting point. So the very first thing you're going to do is called the 90-second transition. When you are shifting from, say, work to going back home, or you're going from home to work, or you're shifting different scenarios in your life, in the car, in the elevator, or anywhere that you have just a few minutes to take, place one hand on your chest and place the other hand on your belly and take 5 slow inhales. And you can breathe in and exhale slowly. Why don't you pause this video right now and go ahead and practice this? Put one hand on your chest and the other on your belly and go ahead and take a nice long deep inhale. And make sure that your exhale is a little bit longer than your inhale each time. Letting go. The longer exhales activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which means that you can relax, you can let go, you can settle into your own self. Why is this important? Because you are in pitta driven mode, which means let me go get it. Let me just push through it. The willpower is there. So the first thing that happens is what do? Meet all the external noise, the people, and all of the requests and things that you have to get done. So what does it do? It keeps you in that cycle. But when you set this up first before you go, it sets a foundation for how the event is going to roll out. The second practice you can do is an Ojas evening drink, which you can do to build the energy reserve within you. So before bed, this is not a reward, but it's a protocol. What you want to do is get some warm, full fat milk because the fat part is what's most important. It's that heaviness that makes you feel comfortable and lets your nervous system relax and grounded. That's what you want to do before bed. So you can add to a cup of milk of your choice. You can add a quarter teaspoon of turmeric and clarified butter, which is ghee. And ghee is heavy, so it goes right into the nervous system and it'll start calming that nervous system. A lot of people don't like ghee. That's okay. You can leave it out. But any other forms of regular fat is what you want to do before going to bed. And the warmth is the most important element of this because when you take something that is nice and warm, just like a baby going to bed, it lets the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which is called HPA axis. This lowers your cortisol, it supports adrenal recovery, and over time, you're building your ojas back again. And the third practice I want to share with you is very important. You have to find one person. It could be your partner, it could be a friend, it could be a woman in your community, it could be anybody that you trust without much explanation. But what you do need to do is to announce it out of your system and tell somebody. You don't need a whole conversation, but just making a declaration saying that my body is going through something significant right now. It is a transition that I am learning about, and I'm finding it harder than I had expected. I don't know what this is, but I'm going through it. That's it. And just by saying that and being acknowledged for that, it lets off this huge heaviness out of your system because the energy spent on the concealment of this energy, these words, it's not being digested. And that's again, pitta fire, how you're digesting your words, your thoughts, your emotions, not just food. Everything matters. And then your body can spend that energy on the healing aspect of you. So I want to end this video on a very special message, which is that I see you, and I know that she spent her entire career making people around her feel good and giving everybody what they need, including your own household. Perhaps it's your parents or your children or loved ones or anyone. You're a giver. You keep on doing things for people, always there whenever they need you. But now, when you go through perimenopause, this is when you come into your wisdom years. What it means is that the gift inside of you is this disruption that's happening, saying, stop. These are the boundaries now. Now you need to focus on yourself. You need to ask yourself, what do you need? How do you feel? How are you doing? All things are very important. You must slow down and tap into yourself, your own energy, and find yourself. Because this is what this transition is all about. When you move through this, past this, and you get to the other side, you're going to be a very wise, healthy woman. And nothing is being taken away from you. You are changing, just like everybody changes. Look at a 25-year-old, they become a 30-year-old, 35-year-old, 40-year-old. It doesn't mean you are always going to be 25 or 20 or a teenager. In fact, we don't even want to go back there, most of us. But your body is changing, and you have come to this place where it's really scary because you don't know what's happening. And all you find is this energy consumption of you from everybody else and everything around you. So, this is the time to tap into yourself, build your ojas, build that energy inside of you, and become the true potential of who you're supposed to be. Subscribe if this channel is giving you the language for something that you may be wanting to talk about for a long time, or just for living in the time you're going through, the season of life, whatever that is. Or if you know somebody who can use this information, please share it with them. And I am all about building a community of women who want to have this conversation, especially high achieving women who often get so depleted and there's no one to help them in their careers, in their life. And oftentimes they are left very, very lonely. So I don't want you to be that. I want you to have fun. I want you to have all the things that you have desired to have and you worked for so hard to get to this place. With that, I will see you next week.